Hello. Today, it is the book Deposing of a Dictator by Nurul Kabir, first published in 2020. For the first time, here not a fantasy fiction book I'm talking about. It is about deposing the dictator General Ayub Khan through mass uprising of the East and West Pakistan in the year 1969. This uprising of 69 had a prolonged background. I wanted to know a bit more about what really happened for years prior to the uprising and how this historical event unfolded. Definitely, this mass uprising headed towards the emergence of Bangladesh. Why this book is important and interesting? As the main manuscript of the book, the author Nurul Kabir at first wrote this long essay in a daily newspaper based in Bangladesh called New Age, where he also happens to be the editor. That long essay turned into this book with some minor changes of paragraphs and with an added chapter. The author had the sobering prologue, Restoring Confidence in Public Resistance. That tells us the main reason the essay has this publication in this book format. A timely book considering dictator Sheikh Hasina's regime, how mass people can fight once again, which they already did. This book must have given the reader courage to topple the dictator of 15 years. It says that deposing one dictator does not mean democracy ensued, rather, another era of dictatorship can begin in a different form or in disguise, and also the highest achievement is that any mass uprising leaves a legacy of people becoming more politically conscious and informed citizens, irrespective of the aftermath of any uprising. I'll mention some of the things I learned from this book, which seemed interesting, important, or seemed totally new to me, or gave me a whole new perspective to think. At first, some similarities caught my mind. Before resigning, the dictator General Ayub Khan told Altaf Gauhar about his narrative of development. We managed to bluff the world, but our own people called the bluff. Dictator Sheikh Hasina's autocracy was well known to the West, but somehow they accepted or acknowledged her version of development. As usual, people of Bangladesh who lives here in this country knew what a bluff it was. Second, frustrated Ayub Khan once said about Maulana Bhashani, this man suffers from every kind of disease, but he doesn't die. And Sheikh Hasina said about Begum Khaleda Zia something like, often I hear that she's almost dead. She has crossed 80, already it's time. I think all the dictators, autocrats, speak the same language. It all started in 1958, within a decade of independence of Pakistan, when President Iskandar Mirza declared a state of emergency just before the first ever Pakistani general election that was supposed to be on March 1959. Ironically, General Ayub Khan deposed Iskandar Mirza and became the president himself in less than a month. I think Ayub Khan had a twisted mind. Why? There is a bizarre, weird thing called basic democracy that he introduced. Some people are elected to create council at the state level, union, or district level. They work with civil and military bureaucrats. These basic democrats elected the president. The mass people do not need to vote. Ayub Khan started his regime with brutality. Some events noted in the book gave me a clear idea how it was. The same year he took power, Ayub's martial law authority arrested Qazi Abdul Bari, a student from Mymensingh, for organizing a protest. He was caned 10 times, that turned him deaf forever. In 1962, Qazi Abdul Shahid, a student from Rachi University, was given 14 years of prison time for protesting against autocratic rule. A schoolboy, Hayat Khan, was brutally caned and sent to prison. Ayub Khan depoliticized the country, brought allegations of corruption against famous politicians like Sohrawardi, arrested Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and kept Maulana Abdul Hamid Khan Bhashani in prison for 4 years without any allegation against him. That was insane. The politicians were steering public opinion against Ayub. All kinds of political activities were banned, and politicians kept a silence for some years. In fact, the author coined it perfectly by saying political barrenness of early 1960s, economic disparity between East and West Pakistan created a scoped debate. If you call that debate democracy, that debate took the shape of a theoretical perspective for economic autonomy for the east part of Pakistan. That small thought of economic autonomy was a big step forward, now I realize when looking back. Going back to 1962, student movement just started to formulate on Sharif Commission, that is National Education Policy. Sharif Commission was not a promoter of free education at primary or secondary school and proposed 4-year graduation course, which was of 3 year. Now, this extra 1 year means the family of the student has to bear that expense, making the graduation harder to achieve for this new and struggling middle class of East Pakistan, which is Bangladesh now. This was new to me. The commission recommended Urdu as a common national language for Pakistan. Student Force and National Student Federation started a student movement denying the recommendations. The first general strike was in September 1962. That was 4 years after Ayub's power takeover. 2 people were shot dead and 250 people injured as clash erupted with police. The students of Lahore and Karachi, West Pakistan, started to demonstrate in a small scale with little impact. Then, in 1965, NAP, National Awami Party of Maulana Bhashani, declared 14-point with a demand of full autonomy for East and West Pakistan under a federal system of governance. And Pakistan also got engaged in a war with India in the same year in 1965, while East Pakistan was unprotected and vulnerable because of absence of military force. Then Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared 6-point program in 1966, which General Ayub denounced as secessionist program. Mujib was arrested 8 times within 35 days of his 6-point campaign. On average, he was arrested after every 4 days in a month. That was insane again. Then, in 1968, he was arrested in the Agartala conspiracy case. The charge was attempt to separate East from the West Pakistan. This book showed how powerful a force Maulana Bhashani became in this whole resistance movement. The student bodies of East Pakistan formulated a united movement along with peasants and workers led by Maulana Bhashani of NAP. As Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was in prison, it was the Maulana, the rebel rouser, with the ability to organize a full-blown resistance. He declared Gherav movement at the Palton Ground rally in 1968. That means to siege government offices. At the same time, West Pakistan also saw an upsurge against Ayub regime done by ordinary citizens, students, and by the politician Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. He started to become popular through this movement. In Peshawar, a young student shot 2 bullets at Ayub Khan when he was addressing a public meeting. Ayub Khan had to hide behind the sofa. That student later said that he was sorry he missed and failed to kill the tyrant. What a determined young man. How come no one ever told me about this? Maulana Bhashani announced strikes in December 1968, and there are many strange and courageous incidents by Maulana that feels like out of a storybook. I should not say more. You have to read this book. Maulana Bhashani was the one who brought Sheikh Mujib out of jail from a dictator like Ayub. Simply unimaginable. I cannot complain about the book. Only one thing, the author was sometimes less of a journalist or editor and more of a bureaucrat. Not all, but a bureaucrat with a break in fluidity in writing style, then long sentences, one single sentence long enough to be a paragraph in its own right. I've already bought his 1200-page book, Birth of Bangladesh. I hope he evolves as an author, because authors do evolve, right? And it is the writing flow or fluidity and length of sentences. If they remain the same, it would be difficult to read those 1200 pages. Anyway, wish me good luck with that tone. Take care. Goodbye.